Shalom and welcome again to our Hebrew class. And as usual, we are working our way through the book of John in Hebrew, and today's section is chapter 21, verses 6 to 10. And as I usually do, we also have recorded up there the Kud valve markings, which we can see a chart there that helps us if we're relatively new to the vowels, and of course the useful resources, which you will find very helpful as you go through to check meanings of words and find the root words, which is essential. Okay, now we begin with verse 6, which we see is represented by the Vav, the sixth letter of the alphabet. So let us go through the letters. Vav, Yod, Aleph, Mem, Resh, Lamed, Hey, Mem, Safit, Hey, Shin, Lamed, Yod, Kaf, Vav, Hey, Mem, Kaf, Mem, Resh, Tav, Mem, Yod, Nun, Safit, Lamed, Aleph, Nun, Yod, Hey, Vav, Tav, Mem, Zade, Aleph, Vav. And now let us read that. Va-yomer, and he said. Right, we know it's he because there's no pronoun. But, of course, it's not shown. That's why I've got it in brackets. And he said, lahem, to them, hashaliku, you cast. And if we look down there, hishalik is a verb to throw or to cast. So, and he said to them, you cast ha mikmoret, the net. Mi min. And we know that yamin means right. So the mem could be like from the right. La aniya, to the boat. So literally it's from the right of the boat, to the right of the boat, right? But from the right to the boat. That's a more direct way it's translated, right? The tim sa u, and you shall find, and I've added some. Now how do I get that? We know that matzah means to find. And with the tav there, rather than being they, the tav tells us second person, so it's you shall find some. And the English is, and he said to them, cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you shall find some. And now it's time for us to read it without any aids. And so we go through. Va-yomer lahem hashaliku ha-mikmoret mimin la'aniya vetimsa'u. And of course the translation, which is, and he said to them, you cast the net from the right to the boat, and you shall find some. And now we come to 6b, and we have a Vav, Yod, Shin, Lamed, Yod, Kaf, Vav, Vav, Lamed, Aleph, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Vav, Ayin, Vav, Dalet, Lamed, Mem, Shin, Kaf, Safit, Aleph, Tav, Hey, Mem, Resh, Vet, Hey, Dalet, Gimel, Yod, Mem, Safit. Just one precaution. Here, the vowel mark is the second one because it's a shin. And that it would be better if that was slightly over, but it doesn't seem to work that way. So just so we know. And it is va-yashliku. And they cast. And I've added it, and they cast it. Velo, and not, Now, this is more likely the Kamatz rule, which makes it a short O sound rather than a normal A sound. So we go, Yoklu. They were able, and not they were able. Odd, still, lim shock, meaning to draw in, I've added. If we look down here, yakol, of course, is to be able or could have. Odd is more still yet. And then the word we're dealing with right now, it comes from the root mashak, which is a kol verb to pull, to drag, or to draw. So to draw in, ota, which is it. Merov. Now we know that rav means great, many, much. So it is from the multitude, from the many, right, of hadagim. Hadagim, which of course is the fish. It's in a plural form, but it's fish. You shall find some. They cast it, and they were no longer able to draw it in due to the multitude of fish. So now we can read that, and it is Vayashliku velo yoklu od limshok ota merov hadagim. And they cast it, and not they were able still to draw in it from the multitude of the fish. And now we come to Zion, which has a value of 7 because it is the 7th letter of the alphabet. And we go through letters. Vav Yod Aleph Mem Resh. Hey Tav Lamed Mem Yod Dalet. Hey Vav Ayin. So sorry, Aleph. Aleph Shin Resh. Yod Hey Vav Shin Ayin. Aleph Hey Vet Vav. Aleph Lamed Kaf Fe Aleph. And that's why we go through fast, because we might make a mistake, but we're trying to get so used to it, right? So let's read. Vayomer, and he said, Ha Tal Mid, meaning the disciple, Ha Hu, that, meaning that disciple, Asher, whom, so Asher can be that, which, whom, where. So in context, because it's talking about the disciple, whom, Yahushua, or Yahusha, Ahevo, he loved. All right, it is, and it comes from, of course, ahav, which is a kol verb to like, to love, to adore. So he loved. El to kefa. So, of course, it's a different order than English, but of course it's talking about, and he said to Kefa. Well, all the rest is in between. So in English we would write it, the disciple whom Yeshua loved said to Peter. That's how in English we would write it. Hebrew follows a different structure. And it is Vayomer Ha Talmid Ha Hu Asher Yahushua Ahevo El Kefa. And he said, the disciple that whom Yahusha he loved to Kefa. And then we come to 7b, and we have a Hey, Nun, Hey. Hey, Aleph, Dalet, Vav, Nun Safit. Vav, Yod, Hey, Yod. Kaf, Shin, Mem, Ayin. Shin, Mem, Ayin, Vav, Nun Safit. Kaf, Fe, Aleph, Kaf, Yod, Hey, Vav, Aleph, Hey, Aleph, Dalet, Vav, Nun Safit. And we read, Hine, behold, Ha-Adon, the Master. He, and it was, Kishmoa, like his hearing, and it's often translated when he heard. Shimon, Simon. Kepha, Peter. Ki, that. Who, he, or he is. Ha-Adon, the Master. And the English, he said to Peter, Behold the Master. And it came to pass when Simon, Peter, heard that it was the Master. And we have a root word down here, Shema. And we know that Shema is a cold verb, to hear or to listen. So now we can read this part. And it is, Hine, Ha-Adon. Vehi, Kishmoa, Shimon, Kepha, Ki, who, Ha-Adon. And the translation again. Behold the Master. And it was, like his hearing, Shimon, Kepha, that he is the Master. And then we have Part C, and we have a Vav, Yod, Chet, Gimel, Resh, Aleph, Tav, Mem, Ayin, Yod, Lamed, Vav, Kaf, Yod, Ayin, Yod, Resh, Vav, Mem, Safit, Hey, Yod, Hey, Vav, Yod, Tav, Nun, Pei, because of the dot, Lamed, Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yod, Mem, Safit. And we read it. Vayach Gor, and he enwrapped. So let's have a look and see what's the root. Nichgor is a verb to strap in, to enwrap. In other words, he's tying something around him or wrapping it around. Right? And he enwrapped, and now it's telling us what? Et grammar marker me lo, his cloak. Of course, the vav at the end is his. And the root word, of course, is me'il, which is a cloak. If you look that up in the dictionary, you'll get cloak. Key for arom, naked. Now, the root of that is arum, which is an adjective meaning naked or nude. Now, I'm imagining he wasn't completely nude, but he would have been, his outer garment would have been off because he's working in the boat. So when it says naked, it doesn't mean absolutely naked. It means maybe down to his waist or something like that. Haya, he was. Vayit na pel. Vayit na pel. And he made himself fall. Now let's have a look at that one. Now we know nafal, which is the root, is a cold verb to fall, to drop, and even to be killed, right? But the hit pa'el stem expresses the reflexive voice, meaning something one does to oneself. So that's why you see it says that he threw himself also, right? But he literally made himself fall. And then we have El-tu Hayam, the sea. So basically he jumped into the sea, right? When Peter heard it was the master, he wrapped his cloak around himself because he was naked and threw himself into the sea. That's how it's translated. Now let's read that. Vayachgor et me'ilo ki erom haya vayit na pel el hayam. And the translation. And he wrapped Grandma Mark his cloak. For naked he was, and he made himself fall into the sea. And now we come to 8, which is represented with the chet, the 8th letter of the alphabet. Then we have a vav, hey, tav, lamed, mem, yod, dalet, yod, mem, sofit. Hey, nun, shin, aleph, resh, yod, mem, sofit. Bayet, aleph, vav. Vayet, because of no dot, samek, fe, yod, nun, hey, kaf, yod, lamed, aleph, hey, resh, chet, yod, kuf, vav. Vaha talmidim, and the disciples, ha nisharim, the remaining. So let's have a look at that one. Because the root of it is sha'ar, a masculine noun which means remainder or the rest. Right, so the rest, the remaining. Ba'u, which is they came, because the u there is they. Va sefina, in a boat. That's a different word than we used before. So we got zephina is a feminine noun meaning boat or vessel. Ki, for, lo, not, here, chiku, they were far. For not, they were far. Now let's have a look at it. It comes from rachok, right? That's the root of it, adjective meaning a distance, far, remote. Right, so not, they were far. So we can read that now. And it is V'ha-talmidim ha-nish'arim ba'u va-sefina ki lo hirchiku. And the disciples, the remaining, they came in a boat, for not, they were far. And now we come to part B of that. And we see we got a mem, nun safit, hey, yod, bayet, shin, hey. Kaf, yod, aleph, mem safit, kaf, mem, aleph, tav, yod, mem safit. Aleph, mem, hey. Vav, yod, mem, shin, kaf, vav. Aleph, tav, hey, mem, kaf, mem, resh, tav. And it is min, meaning from. Ha, ya, ba, sha, meaning dry land, from dry land. Ki, im, which means but. Kematayim. Now the kaf is like, matayim comes from ma'et, which is 100, but it's plural, so we got 200. And then we got ama, which is cubit, or cubits. Vayim shaku, and they dragged. We had mashak before, down here again, to pull, to draw, to drag. And they dragged. It's a they at the end, because there's a yod here rather than a tav, meaning it's third person, and they dragged. Et grammar marker, ha mikmoret, meaning the net. They were not far from the land, but about 200 cubits, and they drew the net. And I've given you me'ah there, meaning 100, and I've explained here so that you can see it, why it is 200. And so let us now read that. Min ha yabasha ki im ke ma tayim a ma vayim sheku et ha mikmoret. And the translation, from dry land, but like 200 cubits, and they dragged grammar marker the net. So they were not far from the land, but about 200 cubits, and they drew the net again. All right? And we get part C of 8, with an ayin and mem safit. Hey dalet gimel yod mem safit. And im, meaning with. Ha gadim, meaning fish. In a singular form, gad is a masculine noun meaning fish. So we know that even in English, fish and fish can be single and plural. And that's what it is too. Except the Hebrew tells you it's plural. All right, and we go im ha dagim, with fish. Now we come to 9, which is represented with the tet, the 9th letter of the alphabet. And then we have vav yod he yod, bet ayin lamed vav tav mem safit, aleph lamed, he yod bet shin he, vav yod resh aleph vav, vav he nun he, gimel chet lamed yod, aleph shin. Now let's read it. Vahi, and it was, ba'alotam, in their going up, because we know that Allah, aliyah, or a lot means going up, right? In their going up, and it was in their going up, el to ha yabasha, to the dry land, va yiru, they saw, literally, and they saw, v'hine, and behold, ga chale esh, ga chale, which means coals of, with the zera and the yod at the end. It's usually translated, it's a construct form, it means of. Coals of esh, fire. And it came to pass, when they came up to the land, they saw and beheld that there was a fire of coals. And so now we can read that. Vehi ba'alotam el hayabasha vayiru vehine gachale esh. And the translation, and it was, in the going up to the dry land, they saw and behold coals of fire. In 9b, we got an ayin, a resh, a vav, a kaf, a yod, a mem safit, a vav, a dalet, a gimel, a yod, mem safit, ayin, lamed, yod, hey, mem safit, vav, lamed, chet, mem safit, lamed, aleph, kaf, and lamed. And we begin with arukim, arukim, arranged. If we look down here, aruk is an adjective meaning prepared, arranged, organized, and arak is a col verb to organize, to array, to manage. So arranged, vedagim, and fish, alehem, upon them, because that hem at the end is them. Velechem, and bread, le'ekal, meaning to eat. The lamed is to. A fire of coals, arranged, and fish on them, and bread to eat. So again, we can read it. Arukim, vedagim alehem, velechem le'ekal. Arranged, and fish upon them, and bread to eat. And now we come to 10, which is represented with the yod, the 10th letter of the alphabet. That should be 10. I don't know how I got 5. Probably I forgot to change that, right? So we know it's 10, not 5. And then we have Vav, Yod, Aleph, Mem, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, Yod, Hey, Mem, Safit, Yod, Hey, Vav, Shin, Ayin, Hey, Vayet, Yod, Aleph, Vav, Mem, Nun, Safit, Hey, Dalet, Gimel, Yod, Mem, Safit, Aleph, Shin, Resh. Now let's read it. Va-yomer, and he said, Alehem, unto them, Yeshua or Yeshua, ha-vi-u, you bring, because we know this form of be with the yod always, pretty well always means bring. So you bring, min, from, ha-dagim, from the fish, share that. Yeshua said to them, bring some of the fish, which. So, of course, a share can be that or which. So, now let's read that. Va-yomer, alehem, Yeshua, ha-vi-u, min, ha-dagim, share. And he said unto them, Yeshua, you bring from the fish that. And part B, Lamed, Kaf, Dalet, Tav, Mem, Safit, Ayin, Tav, Hey. And we have Le, Kad, Tem, the Kad, Tem, you caught. And of course, Tem is you. Because we got down here, lakad is a col verb to catch, to trap, to ensnare. Of the fish which you have caught just now is how it's translated, right? And we can read that quickly. Lekad tem. Ta. You caught now. And now, finally, we come to our lesson to see if we can remember what we have read. And so we begin, of course, with Vav, which has a value of 6. Vayomer, and he said, Lahem, unto them, or to them. Hash li ku, you cast. Ha mikmoret, the net. Mi min, from the right. La aniyah, to the boat, or of the boat, v'timsa'u, and you shall find. And he said to them, you cast the net from the right to the boat, and you shall find some. Vayashliku, and they cast, in other words, they cast it, velo, and not yoklu, they were able. Od, still, lim shock, to draw in, ota, it, merov, from the multitude, from the many, hadagim, many of the fish. And they cast it, and not they were able still to draw in it from the multitude of the fish. And we have Zion, value of 7. Vayomer, and he said, Ha-Talmid, the disciple, Ha-Hu, that, Asher, whom, Yeshua, Ahevo, he loved, El-Tu, Kepha, Peter. And he said, the disciple that whom Yeshua, he loved, to Kepha. Hine, behold, Ha-Adon, the master, Vehi, and it was, Kishmoah, like his hearing, or when he heard, Shimon, Simon, Kepha, Peter, Ki, that, who he, or he is, or he was, Ha-Adon, the master. Behold, the master. It was like his hearing, Shimon, Kepha, that he is the master. Vayachgor, and he enwrapped et grammar marker me'ilo, his cloak. Ki, for erom, naked, haya, he was, vayit na pel, and he fell, or made himself fall. El-Tu, Hayam, the sea. And he enwrapped, grammar mark, his cloak, for naked he was, and he made himself fall into the sea. And we have a chet, value of 8, 8 letter of the alphabet. The ha-talmidim, and the disciples, ha-nisharim, the remaining ones, the remaining, Ba'u, they came, va-se-fi-na, in a boat, ki, for, lo, not, here, chi, ku, they were far. And the disciples, the remaining, they came in a boat, for not, they were far. And now we have part B of that, min, meaning from, hayabasha, meaning the dry land, ki imbat, so often the two go together, ki imbat, ke matayim, like 200, Amma, cubits, Vayim sheku, and they dragged or drew in et ha-mikmoret, the net, from dry land, but like 200 cubits, and they dragged, grammar marker, the net. Im, with hadagim, the fish. So with fish, with the fish. And then we have a tet, value of 9. Vehi, and it was. Ba'alotam, in their going up. El to Hayabasha, the dry land. Vayiru, and they saw. V'hine, and behold. Gachele, and coals, esh of fire, coals of fire. And it was, in their going up to the dry land, they saw, and behold, coals of fire. And we're in 9b now. Arukim, meaning arranged. V'dagim, and fish. Aleichem, upon them. Ve'lechem, and bread. Le'ekal, to eat. Arranged, and fish upon them, and bread to eat. And then we have a yod, value of 10. Vayomer, and he said, Alehem, unto them, Yeshua, ha-vi-u, you bring, min from hadagim, the fish, asher, that. And he said unto them, Yeshua, you bring from the fish that. Lekadtem, meaning you caught. Ata, now. You caught now. And now we finally come to the last part, which is, of course, remembering the vowel marks. And we're going to look at the bottom one today. And we can see this one changes the vav to an oo sound. So it becomes a shuruk, takes on the vowel sound. So it's got the oo sound. Then we have kubuts, which also is oo, but it can be a little bit longer oo sound, kubuts. Then we have a combination of a shavar and a segol. It's called a kataf segol. And again, it's a short E sound. And then we have chirik, that's the I sound. Kataf patak, short A sound. Kataf kamatz, and that's a longer A sound. And finally, we come to the numbering system. And so we will just look at this line. Zade has a value of 90. Fe or Pe has a value of 80. Ayin has a value of 70. Samek 60. Nun 50. And Mem 40. And I'd just like to thank you for joining us. And we hope that you've enjoyed going through this lesson. And I've just given you also, again, the useful resources because I encourage you to use them. It is very useful in your study. And we read every night through the Torah, through the prophets, and through the New Testament from this useful resource, the BeitHamashiach.com. It's very useful. So we just thank you for joining us again, and we hope you have a Shavua Tov, which is a good 7 or a good week in Yeshua HaMashiach, our Messiah. Amen.